So let's talk about Lauren Polo 67, the Eau de Toilette, why I bought it, why it's one of my favorites, and why I actually think it's one of the best from the house. So there are so many notes, I'm gonna list them below. When it comes to the sprayer, I actually feel these are really good. The opening is so good, and there are basically three things that are bouncing off my skin in quite an intense way. The first thing is a gorgeous dose of aromatic freshness and brightness. So Polo 67 has one of my favorite trio of notes. We have lavender, sage and geranium, so it's no wonder I absolutely love its aromatic freshness and brightness. The second thing that pops off my skin right away in the opening is its fruitiness with a gorgeous dose of pineapple. Sometimes in fragrances, pineapple can come across as something that smells a bit cheap and overly sweet, but I do feel that the pineapple in Polo 67 is one that smells fantastic. The third thing to pop off my skin in the opening is a dose of smooth citrus. So in the opening, you're basically getting this nuanced dose of freshness from lavender, sage and geranium together with a bit of smooth citrus. And you get that freshness together with the fruitiness and sweetness from pineapple. The heart of it is so good, and I really feel you gotta put your nose to it in order to fully understand it. However, on my skin, it really feels like an extension of the opening, but where everything I got in the opening feels richer, rounder, fuller and smoother. The aromatic freshness of it just feels a lot rounder, fuller, and to my nose actually quite intoxicating. And pretty much the same thing goes for the pineapple, which I feel is a lot rounder, more prominent and a bit more sweet. And the more it moves away from the opening, the more you can start picking up on a bit of woodiness coming through. To my nose, it's a very smooth, but at the same time quite a rich dose of woodiness coming through. And that woodiness that starts coming through sort of helps balance up that nuanced dose of freshness and the fruitiness and sweetness. I think the opening of Polo 67 is really nice. However, the heart of it is even better. And the heart of it is actually where I start to think about other fragrances like Y Eau de Parfum with its mix of aromatic freshness, fruitiness and woodiness. It also in a way reminds me of Raf's Club Parfum, but definitely with quite a bit of a twist. This could almost have been something in the YSL Y line. However, I actually feel this is in a way too fruity, too sweet, and in a way a bit too rich for that line. And the drawdown is where everything becomes even rounder, fuller and also smoother. It definitely has lost a bit of that initial freshness. I can't really pick up on its citrusy freshness in the drawdown. However, I can definitely still pick up on a bit of its aromatic freshness and brightness. But I mean, the main thing when the whole thing dries down is that its woody side starts to take over. And the drawdown is basically where I feel its woodiness starts to become a lot rounder, fuller and richer, and pushing that lavender, sage and geranium and also the fruitiness and sweetness from pineapple a bit into the background. But the good thing, at least to my nose, is that I can still in the drawdown pick up on the fruitiness and sweetness from pineapple. So what Polo 67 basically is a combination of what I think is a gorgeous nuanced dose of freshness together with the fruitiness and sweetness from pineapple, and all that on top of what I think is a smooth but rich dose of woodiness. It's basically fresh, fruity and sweet with a prominent dose of woods. And I'm pretty sure someone in the comments is going to disagree with me on this, but I actually feel that its nuanced dose of freshness together with the fruitiness and sweetness of it makes it a bit unique if you compare it to other fragrances. The vibe of Polo 67 is definitely a combination of something playful, sexy and flirty. And I do feel Polo 67 is a fragrance that has a lot of energy and excitement to it. And while I do think this is a fragrance that you can use to pretty much any occasion, I do feel because of that playful, sexy and flirty vibe that this is a perfect fragrance when you're going out or when you're going on a date. So I mean, wear it to work or school if you want, but definitely make sure you try this on date nights. And if you do, I'm pretty sure you will land a compliment or two, because this is a very likable, sexy and extremely mass appealing kind of scent. And Polo 67 quickly went on to become one of my top compliment getters. And when it comes to likability, I definitely feel it's extremely hard to go wrong with Polo 67. So when it comes to performance, Polo 67, the EDT actually performs quite well, at least on my skin. And this definitely lasts quite a bit longer than what Ralph Lauren fragrances, at least on my skin, usually do. And I'm rating the projection, at least initially, somewhere between 7 and 7.5. And I'm rating the longevity sort of around the same. But with that said, do not expect Polo 67 to be a beast mode kind of fragrance. But the scent cloud I'm getting from Polo 67 is something I feel most people quite easily can pick up on. When it comes to seasons, Polo 67 is basically a combination of freshness, fruitiness and sweetness with quite a prominent dose of woodiness, and I do feel this is a fragrance that works throughout the year. I've worn this summertime and it smells absolutely gorgeous with a bit of warmth. And if you haven't already tried it on summer nights, then I can highly recommend you to do so. When it comes to alternatives, I do feel there are quite a few, but I also feel that this has quite a bit of uniqueness to it. But with that said, I do feel that the first one is YSL Y Eau de Parfum. Y Eau de Parfum is also a combination of a gorgeous dose of freshness, fruitiness and woodiness. I'm gonna link to my full review of YSL Y Eau de Parfum somewhere up here and in the description below. Y Eau de Parfum also has a fantastic dose of aromatic freshness and brightness to it. However, I do feel its aromatic freshness and brightness is a bit different compared to this. And dare I say it, because I absolutely love YSL Y Eau de Parfum, but I actually maybe think that the aromatic side of Polo 67 is a bit better than Y Eau de Parfum's. However, Y Eau de Parfum's fruitiness is definitely quite a bit different compared to Polo 67's. Another alternative I gotta mention is Ralph Lauren Ralph's Club Parfum. And in a way, I do feel that the scent profile of Ralph's Club Parfum is doing something similar to this, but they are different. Ralph's Club Parfum is also a combination of what I think is a nuanced dose of freshness, fruitiness and woodiness. And he also has my favorite trio of lavender, sage and geranium. But he has a different kind of fruitiness and he definitely has a different kind of woodiness, and I definitely feel Polo 67 is a lot more fruity and more sweet. The Eau de Parfum is an alternative that's definitely a bit similar, but there are some differences. I've got a review and comparison coming up soon, so make sure you subscribe for that. So let's talk about price and value. I bought Polo 67 off a discounter for around 60 bucks for 125 ml, which to me is insane. So to me, price versus the amount of juice and the quality I get from this is really good. So what are my final thoughts on this and how am I going to rate Polo 67 from 1 to 10? So if you're a subscriber, and if you're not yet a subscriber, then what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe right now. Then you probably know that I absolutely love well-made aromatic freshness, and the aromatic freshness and brightness I get from this is absolutely gorgeous. And the way they combine a gorgeous nuanced dose of freshness together with the fruitiness and sweetness from pineapple is fantastic. And I know someone out there is going to disagree with me on this, but I actually feel there's quite a bit of uniqueness to this. And I mean, the rich woodiness in the dry down is a really nice part of Polo 67. However, the main stars, at least to my nose, and what makes me want to sniff myself over and over after I sprayed it on, is really the combination of its aromatic freshness and brightness and the fruitiness and sweetness from pineapple. And I'm actually glad that the Ralph Lauren finally released a fragrance with above average performance. And Polo 67 is without a single doubt one of the absolute best men's fragrances from this house. And I'm gonna give Ralph Lauren Polo 67 the Eau de Toilette a super strong 9, almost flirting with being a perfect rebel. I haven't quite decided yet if this is a perfect 10, but it's close. And Polo 67 comes highly recommended if you usually enjoy this kind of scent. Before you go, make sure you check out my other fragrance reviews over there. And let me know in the comments if you tried Polo 67, what you think of it and how you would rate it from 1 to 10.